Sunrise photos always seem to blow up on Instagram and TikTok, but most people, including myself for quite a while, shoot them completely wrong. So from my personal experience, I'd either blow out the sky completely, make the foreground way too dark, or miss the best moment entirely. After 7 years of photographing sunrises and sunsets with both Lego photography and landscapes, I think I've got a decent understanding of how to capture them correctly. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the entire process from start to finish, from choosing the location, finding the perfect composition, and then finally editing the photos so they look insanely cool. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to photograph sunrises perfectly, and they will stand out on Instagram and TikTok. I promise you that. So let's get into it. But before we do that, I need to take the sweater off because it is so hot. We're getting close to winter here in New Zealand. It was cold in this room before, but then obviously I set up the studio light and it's now blaring hot. So before you even plan on going out for a sunrise, you need to choose a location. Now, whenever I'm going out for a sunrise and I'm choosing a location, I primarily go for locations that are quite open, have a distinct horizon line, because if you're kind of sheltered by mountains or, forests, it'll take a while until you can actually see the sun or get those really nice colors. Whereas if you can see the horizon, you get these really nice colors before the sun is even risen. So that's usually my first tip when it comes to shooting a sunrise. And also, if you know where the sun is rising, then you can literally see the sun hitting the horizon, and they always make for great photos, but more on that later. Next, after choosing your location, you need to figure out where the sun is rising. Now, the way I usually do it is pretty simple. I just kind of guess by, figuring out where the sun rises and sets in relation to my house, and then I just kind of go from there and just kind of guess where it'll be rising roughly, depending on whereabouts I am here in Auckland, New Zealand. If that's too tricky, then I would suggest getting a sunrise and sunset app. There are heaps of them on the App Store where it tells you exactly where the sun is going to be rising and also shows you the moon phases as well. So I haven't personally used them before, but I've got heaps of photographer friends who've used them and they've always had positive reviews. There's paid ones and then there's free ones. I mean, there's so many out there that it's kind of hard not to find a decent one to use. So if you want the best possible opportunity to capture the sun and know where it's rising, then I'd suggest looking at an app. Probably one of the most important parts of this whole process is knowing when the sun is actually going to rise. Now, this is really easy. You can open your weather app and it will tell you exactly when the sun is rising. So there, it tells you exactly when the sun is going to be hitting the horizon. Now, when you're shooting a sunrise, you need to give yourself time. Now, usually when I go out for a sunrise, I try and aim to get there 30 to 40 minutes before the sun actually rises, because that gives me a few things. One, that gives me time to set up whatever I'm doing. Usually that's, a Lego set or something like that. I can figure out where I can set up the set, best possible angles, so I'm not really rushed, because the worst thing would be to get there like 10 minutes before the sun is rising, and then you've got 10 minutes to find the best angle and you're really rushed and panicked. But 30 to 40 minutes is perfect for me because I can set up my Lego set and kind of figure out a few angles, do a few test shots. And also when you get there early, it sometimes gives you this really nice gradient before it's even hit the horizon. I mean, you look at this photograph here. This was like 30 or 40 minutes before the sun had even hit the horizon, and it gave these beautiful sun rays and really nice diverse colors. And this was my best image from the entire shoot. Not even when it hit the horizon, it was when it was tucked away, and it created for this really nice dramatic shot. So highly recommend getting there at least 30 to 40 minutes beforehand. Right, so now you've got the location, you're set up, you know where the sun is going to be rising. Now you got to shoot this thing. It took me a while to figure this out, which is kind of embarrassing, but I think the best tip I could give you is to expose the sky above anything else, because I've got a few examples here that kind of prove this theory. So this car image here, it's not too bad, but it's very clear that the sunset is kind of overexposed. Now, if you know you're going to be editing your photos later on, it's really important that you expose the sky correctly. So I'll show you an example where I've done that. So here's a perfect example. In this image, I kept the subject brutally underexposed, and I just focus on capturing the sky, because if something's overexposed, it's very difficult to bring it back without it looking very, blown out. So this BD1 image is a really good example. I set my settings so that the sky would look really nice, and then just kept the foreground and the subject underexposed. And then using just Lightroom and a few color changes and, bringing up the shadows and stuff like that, I was able to land mind on this. The sky looks beautiful and also the subject does. Now I'll show you an example of a overexposed shot where it's very difficult to bring back those highlights. So this shot here is kind of a good example. I mean, it did really well on Instagram, but photographically it wasn't the best. You can see in the background that where the sun is rising, it is brutally overexposed. Like the clouds are just pure white, which looks disgusting. Everything else around it's not too bad, but again, where that sun is rising, it's just pure white. You don't want that. So keep the sky exposed correctly. Landscape and also the subject, you need to keep underexposed because then in Lightroom, you can bring those back really easily. Sorry if that was a ramble. I just really need to emphasize the fact that, you know, keeping the sky is the goal because you can really miss out on some really good photos. Now, going back to getting there early is this gives you a lot of time. The best thing I've found is experimenting with a subject and just continuously shooting them as the sun is coming up. Trying new angles, repeating angles, and seeing what you can do with the different colors that the sun gives you. Because you can get a whole variety of colors depending on what sunrise you have. If you have clouds, you can get some nice oranges. If you get there early enough, you can see that you can get those nice purples. Yeah, it's just a matter of trial and error and just experimentation. Have fun with it. The reason why I love shooting sunrises is because it gives you so much variety in your images that you have like so many cool photos to choose from where it can actually become difficult to choose that, first Instagram photo. Example being the BD1 sunrise. That was like, I think an hour or so of shooting, and from the start to the finish, I just had a whole range of different images. BD1 didn't really move for the most part. It was me moving around, capturing different angles, and just letting the sun give me really nice colors. That's the easiest way to explain it. So yeah, make sure you're experimental with the light because it's always going to be something new and different as the sun is coming up. Now lastly for these tips, I'm going to show you how you can utilize the sun in 3 different ways. First way is to have the sun actually interact with your subject. This photo here was taken down in Taupo back in 2020, I believe. And I didn't really have a plan. I was just photographing, the sunrise, and I wanted to get some cool photos. And luckily there was a kayak fisher just, coming through as the sun was rising. So I was like, oh, this is going to be a great opportunity to photograph the subject as he's hitting that light. I didn't capture it perfectly, but it's just a good way of utilizing the actual sun for, a cool and interesting image like this, because, it creates a really nice silhouette of him, and that shadow. I don't know, it just gives the sunrise a subject rather than just having the sun. Everyone's seen the sun before, but, just having a subject like this just completes it. But this is another way I utilize the sun. I use this little World War II compass for a shot where the sun was just, going through that little, what is that called? I don't know, directional guide thing. I can't remember what it's called, but it's another cool way to have the sun interacting with your subject. The second way you can utilize the sun is to use the colors to your advantage. Now, you don't need to directly shoot the sun, but if you're shooting somewhere where you can see the sky and the horizon, it can offer you some really unique colors. So this little shot here of what, a washed up Lego figure, I guess. I was at the beach and I took this really nice shot of him and just kind of used the sunrise, the colors it was producing in the sky to create this really beautiful image. And, the gradient looks really, really nice. I did this again at Music Point. You can't see the sun, but it is creating for a really beautiful gradient in the sky. And you can utilize the sunrise and just kind of, utilize those beautiful colors that it offers. And especially in this astronaut photo, again, just, what more could I say? You don't see the sun, but it's created for these really nice shadows. The sky looks really, really nice. Yeah, you don't always have to shoot the sun itself. You can use the sky and its awesome colors to create some really nice images. And third, but finally, you can use a sunrise on a very cloudy day to create some very dramatic images, such as this Barrador image right here. Now, yes, I'm going against what I said. There are a few overexposed elements in the background, in the sky. I understand that, but just look at the colors that are in those clouds. It looks very, very sick. If this was just a bright blue day, sure, it'd look nice, but it just kind of adds to the image, Don't be afraid to shoot on cloudy days because you never know what you could get. Oh, the biggest tip of them all, never trust the weather app. Only trust the fact that it's, the sun is going to rise, okay? This might just be an Auckland/New Zealand thing. I can't count the amount of times where I've looked at a weather app and it said, oh, it's going to be raining in the morning with, thunderstorms. And I wake up to see bright blue skies. Do not trust the weather app. Do research and just, kind of look around to see what the general weather could be. And then just just go out and shoot, because I've missed so many good opportunities simply because I trusted the weather app. Like literally these Ninjago photos right here, the weather told me it was gonna be fully cloudy. So you wouldn't be able to see the sun technically, but I still went out there because I wanted to see what I could do, and I got some of my best images from this year already. Don't trust the weather app. It's only gonna tell you when the sun is gonna rise. What the weather does from there, you have no idea. So just go out and see what happens. Okay, tip number 4, technically now, silhouette shots. I love creating silhouette shots with the sunrise. It's a nice fun way to kind of, I don't know how to explain this in an artistic way. It just looks really cool. I don't know, it shows you what the subject is really easily, and it looks cool. I don't know what else to say. The main thing is just be experimental. I mean, BD1 looks really cool here. Sensei Wu looks really epic here with the temple. I also got another nice temple shot here. Like, you could look at this image and not even realize it's Lego. That's how cool the silhouette image looks. Very underrated sunrise technique, if you will. I highly recommend trying it out. But yeah, those are my tips when it comes to sunrises. You can apply these tips to sunsets as well. Let me know if there are any additional things you want to know about sunrises and sunsets. I wanted to create this video because a lot of people were curious to know how, I capture sunrises, and also it was a mystery for me how to, get the best sunrise images for many, many years. And sometimes, like the Barrador photo, I kind of forget those tips, so good to reinforce them in a video like this to kind of further drill them into my head. That's another tutorial video done for you. You can apply this to landscape photography and also Lego photography. If you would like more Lego photography or just general photography tips, let me know. Until then, I'll see you in the next video. Like and subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.